I think we will call to order this regular joint meeting of the Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls Planning Commissions. My name is Ken Dunlap. I'm the chairperson for the Sioux Falls Planning Commission. To my left is Susie O'Hare, and she is the chairperson for the Minnehaha Planning Commission. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural areas surrounding the city. This area is displayed on the screen.
Oh, no,
Not tonight.
Trust us, it's within the 3-mile limit of the city of Sioux Falls. After information and testimony is presented on an agenda item, the members will discuss the matter, and then each planning commission will vote independently to arrive at a decision. When the joint agenda is completed, the City Planning Commission will adjourn, that's our side, and the meeting will continue as the County Planning Commission considers items beyond the joint jurisdictions. Any final action taken tonight on the rezoning request will be continued to the County Commission and City Council for a joint hearing on Tuesday, July 23rd. That meeting will be in Carnegie Town Hall. I would like now start with the city side, and I will ask the City Planning Commissioner, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, would there be a second?
I'll second motion to approve the regular agenda.
All in favor,
So
signify by saying yes.
All in favor,
Yes.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's been approved on the county side.
The regular agenda is approved on the county side and is also approved on the city side. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our March meeting on the city side?
So moved.
We have a motion, would there
All
be
in
a
favor,
second?
signify by saying aye.
All in favor will signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed? We have approval of the March meetings on the city side, and we also have approval of the minutes on the county side. The following hearing procedure will be used. I will request planning staff to present a report on the item. Anyone from the audience wishing to address the item shall be recognized by myself, move to the podium, and state their name and address for the record. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter and take appropriate action. Thank you. Staff.
Good evening, Commissioner Dustin Powers with the County Planning Department. Tonight we are looking at rezoning 13-004 to rezone property from A1 agricultural to rural residential. This site is located on the east side of Sioux Falls on East 41st Street. This is a 2.6 acre parcel that sits adjacent to Pine Hills addition. The lot requested to be rezoned does not have a residential building eligibility under the current zoning district. The applicant is requesting to rezone the north 1.3 acres of the property to rural residential to be able to construct a single family home. The rural residential zoning district requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre, so this potential rezoning would allow one residential home on the property. Access to the lot will be off of platted right-of-way for South River Bluff Road. Currently the road is not constructed through there, and likely it probably never will be. But there is a public right-of-way there in which there's a driveway that already accesses the single-family home and residence to the east side of the road. So there would be a joint driveway through the right-of-way of South River Bluff Road to this property. Properties to the west and north have both been rezoned to rural residential, and those were rezoned back in 1995 and 1996. The applicant had brought this request previously to the Planning Commission and City Council, or Planning Commissions and City Council and County Commission in 2005, and it was denied by a split decision by the County Commission. Currently, the lot would be allowed to operate off a septic. However, attached in your packet is an email and an easement that shows that there is proposed construction for sanitary sewer in 2014-2015 time frame. Once the property, once those services would be available, and the property is annexed into the city. The City of Sioux Falls would give the property owner a time frame in which they would be required to hook into that sanitary sewer. Minnehaha County Water, Rural Water, has a water line adjacent to this property, and does have the capacity to service this dwelling unit. I just received something here today that Minnehaha County Rural Water has an agreement with the City of Sioux Falls that once this property hooks into the city services, it will need to buy out to go into city services for water as well. According to the Sioux Falls 2020 or 2035 future land use map, it depicts this area as residential. Therefore, staff is requesting or recommending approval of the rezoning of 13-004 from A1 agricultural to rural residential. I do have a few photos. As you can see on the map here, the whole entire property is 2.6 acres here, right at the northwest corner of East 41st and South River Bluff Road right away. So we are rezoning. The request is rezone the north half of that. This is a photo of where the potential site for the house is going to be. It's a very terrain-filled property. Once you're along, it really drops down from 41st Street, goes down. There's a waterway that runs through the center of the property, and then it comes back. As you move forward to the north, you come back up the hill, and that's where the building site would be for the property or for the house. This is just another view of the property, looking towards the driveway and the road. This is another view. This is the driveway that would access the shared driveway. This is the driveway that goes to the other property. So this was the shared driveway that would be accessing off of. And this is looking back towards East 41st, so we're looking south towards 41st Street. As you can see, as I said, the terrain really slopes down and then comes back up. So there is limited space or spots on the property that can be developed, and where they're going to be having the residential home, if the rezoning approved, is one of the only spots they could put it on the property without doing significant repair or grading to the property. And that's all I have. So if there's any questions for me, I can answer those. Otherwise, I'll leave it up to you.
Sioux Falls Commissioners, would there be any questions for staff? Just a quick one. Explain to me again about rural water. They're allowed to hook up to it now.
Well, when they're in the county, so they're currently under rural water, which would, if the rezoning was approved, they wouldn't be hooked into any city services currently. So they would hook into that rural water. But once they were annexed in the city, then they have to buy out and go into the city services, in which Sioux Falls would take over supplying the water to the property.
When you use the term buyout the Minnehaha or Minnehaha Rural Water, do they charge them something to discontinue that?
There must be. So all I'm going by is a email here from city staff, Jeff Schmidt, that tells me that the property owner will be responsible for a rural water system buyout, in which he would then hook into city services.
Is the petitioner aware of that? If you had an opportunity?
I got this email right before this meeting, so no.
So he's not.
He may be aware of it, yes, but I haven't spoken with him directly.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question. So what would happen to the lot to the south that actually butts up to 41st Street? That also has no eligibility, or is it?
No, yeah, it'd still be one property. Just the rezoning of the property is only going to be on the north portion, so that they only are able to build one house.
So they're not going to come back to us and say, well, we've got this teeny property that can't be used.
Well, it'd be another 1.3 acres. They could potentially try to rezone that and build on it, except if you look at the photo, I mean, it's going to be a very hard, that the south 1.3 acres is going to be a very hard property to build on, just because of how low it sits, and then the grade up to East 41st Street.
Sure.
unless there's some significant grading, plus you have to, they're going to have to be at least 50 feet back away from the right-of-way of East 41st, which limits them on where they could even put the house along East 41st if they were to ever try to apply. When the applicant came in, the first request was to rezone the entire property, but realizing that he could potentially, he only wants to build the one house out there, so that's why we're only rezoning the north half, so that, we're only allowing one house if this is approved.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, Dustin. That shared driveway, I never so sure about some of those. The idea of and I went out there and looked at it because I live in that area. The gentleman that lives to the east of there, and it basically was his driveway to begin with, or probably always has been. Now the new gentleman will come in if we rezone it. The idea that they're sharing it, are they going to have the sharing and the maintaining of it as well? Is there an agreement between them?
I'm not aware of an agreement. I mean, obviously, they would have to come to that conclusion to have that agreement between them. It is public right-of-way, so they both have to have access to it. I mean, the gentleman to the east can't claim that that's his driveway and prohibit this person from using it because it is a public right-of-way. But I would assume that they would come to some kind of agreement maintenance-wise on who's pushing snow or if it becomes an issue with the base of the road driveway and they need more gravel or something, they would have to come to that conclusion together.
I have one other question. Is it, I don't know if you can answer this, is it his intent to wait until after the sewer's in to build?
I am not able to answer that question.
Another question, Mr. Chairman. That's a true section line there, is not? Or not?
East 41st or?
No, going north.
Yes, that would.
Because I know in our township, that's what I think, of course, Bonnie has to be on Split Rock Township Board. But in our township, our townships will only maintain section lines. So if you all of a sudden put that in there, are you going to have another little section line to maintain that wasn't there before?
I mean, it's not a public. It is a public right of way, but it's only accessing two properties. It's not a through
Well,
road.
it doesn't matter if it's a section line. In our township, you have to go.
Or you can call them minimum
Minimum
maintenance or
maintenance.
no maintenance, or, I mean, you can
Yeah, the
declare.
township would have to. I mean, if that became an issue between the property owners and the township could just make it a no maintenance road.
Thank you.
Would there be any other questions for staff? Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Good evening.
Brian, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Darren Blair.
Oh,
I'm the owner of the property.
Pardon?
Darren Blair, the owner of the property.
Anything you can add to
River Bluff down to the driveway has always been maintained by the county. They grade it and maintain it right up to the driveway.
You know,
It doesn't go
Did you
through.
buy this property from the neighbor? Do you have an agreement with the neighbor as far as maintaining? Well, I guess now I'm confused. Is it a public right of way or is it a private driveway?
River Bluff doesn't go through. It doesn't connect. There's a spot in there that's not connected. But the county maintains both sides and
Yes, I'm talking about the driveway into your house.
yes,
You're saying the road
that's on my property.
and the county maintains that?
Not the driveway, but the road.
That
My-
gets to the driveway.
Yes, exactly.
You applied for this in 2005 and were denied.
It was before I purchased the property. I had signed a purchase agreement contingent on rezoning, and I decided to purchase it anyways just because it's such a unique property, and I took it on as kind of a project, and I've been clearing it for the last 8 years and grading it, and it's a rather unique property and quite beautiful down there.
Can you remember why it was denied in 05?
Well, I can't say for sure. No, it was a split decision. It was like 50-50 and
Any other questions for the petitioner?
You're fine with the water situation, that you'll hook up to city water once it's annexed in?
correct, and there is a well on the property
I saw
now.
that on your letter.
Yes.
So you're fine?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
Have no questions?
I have a question. That shared driveway, and I posed this question with Dustin, you have an agreement with the existing landowner there to the east?
I've never heard it called a shared driveway because my driveway is off of River Bluff, and River Bluff is maintained. It's not on his property. You know, his property's on one side of the road, mine's on the other, and River Bluff kind of ends right where the driveway's split off. It's not connected to River Bluff.
Actually, that was gonna be my question to you, Justin, that I failed to ask. Because that road goes left to his property west, right?
Yeah.
And then there's obviously another road that goes right to, so they don't really share anything.
No.
Well, the reason we were calling it a shared driveway is because I don't believe the county maintains that. That's a township road. The county wouldn't be out there with their trucks at all. So if anyone's been maintaining it, it's actually been the township trucks, and it's not. They don't have it open as a public road. I don't believe Bonnie, and Bonnie's on the Split Rock Township. She would know. And so maybe once in a while their trucks drive down there and clean it off to help that landowner that's currently using it, but they don't maintain that road. So, and the county wouldn't be out there. It's a township road.
But on the driveway portion, they don't really share anything.
No, basically from the right of way to the west would be his driveway, and to the east would be the neighbor's driveway. It's just like a road, except there's not really a road there.
Okay. So the road you showed is the road that's on his property that he'll use to access that.
So
that's
this
his
is the
residential
driveway that
road.
goes to the right of way.
Right.
That's
So
the
this
south.
this is looking directly east.
Got it.
This is where the house would be, where the vehicle's parked is coming up the driveway from the right of way. This is the drive. This is basically where it V's off and goes to. This is the neighbor's driveway to the east.
Okay.
So that
And then this is the right. This is the right of way. So direct. If you keep going straight north, well, coming towards the photo. If you're coming north towards the photo, then you can either turn right to go east to the neighbor's property, or you can turn left here and go on to Mr. Blair's property.
So what we're looking at is River Bluff Road.
This is River Bluff, yes, road, I guess you could call it. But it's
I
not
think
being
that's what it says
maintained
on
by,
here,
it's
right?
not being maintained by the township, so it's not really an open road.
If we were to rezone this, would that put any pressure on the township to have to do something, or is that totally it?
I wouldn't say it would put any more pressure on them. I mean, it's open. They have access to it. I guess he could request that they open it up to
Well, what
a
we
maintenance
do-
road.
Would force them to have to do anything?
No.
They could if they wanted to. Right? If it's on
We
a
all
section
know the
line.
townships have plenty of money. so-
Especially hers.
You know, they'd have to bring it up to the other township,
Township board, yeah.
you know, the other members of the board. We'd have to look at it, our attorney would do the same. That's you know, what people don't realize, you know, as steep as that is in there, it's pretty hard to get equipment in and out of there. I mean, if you drive in, you have to almost back out. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
there's much.
I mean, it's fairly steep. I mean, your tires will spin going up that driveway if you don't have any, because you have to stop at 41st Street. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be pulling out into traffic. So, I mean, once you stop at the top of that hill, so it would be difficult to get equipment up and through there, up from a township point of view.
We do maintain, I should say, we do maintain River Bluff to the south, off of 41st there, that small section in there.
Does anybody maintain these other roads?
In the Pine Hills edition?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do
That
all
would be township.
So I have a question too, if I may.
Yes,
Mr. Blair, so my question earlier was what about the southern part of that lot? Are you going to try to market that? Are you going to abandon it and let the county repossess it? Or are you going to...
There's not good access to it, because there is a little creek that runs through the property. It would be good, there's got a lot of trees on it. It's a nice little piece of land that's overgrown right now, and I would like to clear it and just be my front yard. There's real no good access to it unless you put a driveway in from 41st Street. But
Well, if I may, my experience is that sometimes these small lots, no one maintains them, no one pays taxes on them, and then we get them and no one wants them.
It's an acre, so it's not that terribly small.
Right, but we have things that are used for storm runoff and stuff like this that are built into subdivisions that then the development doesn't pay any taxes on it, and so the county winds up getting it. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but something to watch out for, that here becomes a property with no one that cares for it and pays taxes on it, and then I own it as a county officer, and we have to find something to do with it. Whereas if it was all one property, it would...
Can I clarify something? It is only one property. The only reason he's only rezoning half of it is so that you're
so
only
the zoning
approving...
is the only division.
That's right, not
Yes,
subdivided.
It's one 2.6 acre parcel. The only reason it's kind of split on the map is because they didn't want to build two houses. They didn't want you to approve for two homes. They're only asking for the one
That makes a
residential.
difference to me. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Jeff, I understand where you're coming from on that. Had some experience with that myself. Any other questions for the council? Seeing none, thank you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else here this evening that would like to address this particular item? Seeing none, I would look for a motion on the Sioux Falls Board.
So moved.
We have a motion, would there be a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I think what I would probably just add is, I know there's always been some sensitivity in regards to, just a second, about these building eligibilities as far as creating new ones. And I know that's been a sticky deal for not just Minnehaha County, but Lincoln County. I suspect that's probably what happened in '05.
It was what happened in '05. In '05, we looked at this, I was on the board at that time, and it falls right into what our definition is, generating an eligibility. And you're generating an eligibility based upon what? A sewer line that's going to be put in there. Now, if that sewer line was there right now and they said that they were going to attach to it tomorrow when the house is built, it would be approved very easily. But it's not. It's going to be when the city annexes, when the sewer line. He can wait until the sewer line goes in. That's just the way it works in this county. Otherwise, you're generating an eligibility. Then I could square off 2.3 acres of my 30 and get an eligibility. Just because that's what it's about. It's about density zoning. Now you're increasing the density in the area. That's not a good thing to do or a precedent to set. And you can say, well, there's already all these houses around here. You're still increasing the density. Every house comes with about 3 cars. And it's not in a very good deal. And yes, and they may come to Bonnie and the township out there and say, no, you got to maintain this road, guys.
I suspect that it could be looked at a little different from the county side versus the city side.
Well, how soon is the city, you take all those people around there, it's going to be a long time before they want the city to annex them. Because all of a sudden their taxes will go up and they got to buy out the water line from the rural water people. They got to do all this, now they got to redo their sewer systems to attach to the sanitary sewer district and go through all that cost. We're talking at least 10 years before that's annexed. It's not going to happen next week.
But we make those decisions based on our 2035 plan.
Yes.
And that's what we've got to go off of, and
2035.
right. And
That's probably about as soon as it would ever get annexed out there. If the people put it to a vote in that area.
yeah, but that's what we have to use as our.
I know. But that's where we're coming, that's where I will come from. That's why I will not support rezoning this. Absolutely will not. just based on the experience I've had in the county.
Let's do something here. Let me finish up on the Sioux Falls side. We'll move it over to the county side. You guys can have a discussion about it. Both sides have to agree or disagree, I think, for it to either be approved or not approved. I understand where you're coming from, but having said that, we've had a motion and a second. We've had our discussion. All in favor of the motion will signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed? The motion does pass on the Sioux Falls side. Susan?
Well, we can't really vote on a different motion, can we?
Yes, we are. We have something to say.
Same motion.
Okay,
I'll move for denial for the previous reasons that I stated.
I'll second that. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for denial of this rezoning. All in favor of the denial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to the motion?
Aye.
I need to vote, I know. I'm gonna vote for the denial. Now what happens?
It automatically goes to the city council and county commission.
Just with our recommendations,
right.
basically.
Okay, moving on, I believe. Let me look at the agenda. That was the only items on tonight's joint meeting. On the city side, the chairman entertained a motion for adjournment on our side.
So,
On second. All in favor?
yes.
We are adjourned from the joint